discussing that more, and I yield back.
I thank my friend from California. Now yield to our colleague from Wisconsin, Glenn Grothman.
Thank you. Obviously, I think one of the big themes of this administration is we seem to have more and more people aim for government assistance, more and more people in the billionaire class, and we try to squeeze the middle class, which has always been the backbone of America. I'd like to talk a little bit, whichever one of you feels most appropriate to speak up, on the cost of electric cars and the effect it's going to have on the middle class. One of you feels the champion of that? Okay, good. I think there are three things that go into the cost of a car. What is the effect of this demand that we buy these electric cars as far as the initial price of a car? Am I going to have to pay more for a new car than I did my last car if I buy it in 2032?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. The reason they need to force it on us is because we wouldn't buy it voluntarily. So that means it's not the most cost-effective option. So yeah, it increases the cost and it decreases the effectiveness. So for many families, it's not nearly as versatile as a gasoline car.
Well, you've got the cost up front, and as I understand it, talking to my auto dealers, $25,000 more for my next car than the car I just got if I got to buy electric.
Well, there's that, but then there's many hidden costs. Texas Public Policy Foundation did a good study which shows $10,000 to $20,000 of us subsidizing per car. So these are incredibly subsidized through all sorts of things like zero emissions credits. And yeah, so we're just paying a fortune for these things directly and indirectly.
I really don't like the way they're trying to squeeze the middle class, which has always been
I would like to add that most of minorities are priced out of the EV market. They just don't make sense. And when you think about Black Americans that have a median income of $56,000 a year, which is someone doing well, the average demographic of an EV owner makes $100,000 or more, has owned their own home, and they're white and they're educated. So most African Americans and most minorities are already priced out of the market. They can't even afford a electric vehicle.
Right.
And so the alternative that they're providing for us is public transportation, which does not work when you need a job.
Well, I will point out, I don't think for the billionaire class that I think runs the Democrat Party, public transportation is not a big deal there. And like so many things, be it your electric bill, be it your car payment on your new car, if you're a billionaire, you don't even make those payments yourself. Probably have an accountant do it for you. So, but you're right. I think it's so damaging for the average person. Of course, the cost of a car isn't just initially what you pay for it. I wasn't aware until I talked the other way. When you do want to buy a new car and you trade in your old car, is it right that the trade-in you're going to get on an electric car is less than you get on a combustion engine car? Is that another way they're going to try to nail the middle class?
And the trade-ins are in comparison to gas combustion engines, are way lower. But what they're also doing is increasing the cost of gas-powered cars because they're forcing the EV agenda on individuals. So now the middle class is getting hit in two ways. They're actually being priced out of the private car ownership market.
Right. There's another cost to a car that we haven't talked about today. I think maybe you ought to talk about it a little bit, and that is the cost of insurance. I know in Wisconsin, almost every other state, you're required to have insurance if you're going to have a car. What is the plan for middle America when they begin to have to buy insurance on their new EV? What is that going to do to the middle class there?
Yeah, well, it's probably likely to be much greater because if the battery goes in an EV, that means it's a very large expense to replace it. And that's why you can't sell used EVs. People don't want to take the risk of a battery going. And about 71% of car sales in the United States are used. Most people buy used cars. They don't want to buy used EVs. So that really messes with the market.
Well, right. And isn't it true that if you get into a car accident, it's much more expensive to repair the EV?
And they can also catch fire. It's much easier for these EVs to catch fire.
Right. And the result will be that's a payment that I think a lot of people in America make monthly on insurance. That's another way you work towards this plan of getting rid of the middle class, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I did the calculation this morning. An EV would cost about $1,400 a month for a minority who's usually in the subprime loan market. If you're making 56,000, basically your income for a month is 3,000. You're talking about somebody who needs to invest half of their income.
Yeah, I just want to get in one more question here. Another way we're nailing the middle class on things you need, of course, is the price of food is going up. And part of that, when I talk to farmers, is the increased cost of fertilizer, which of course you need to be a farmer today. Could you describe, is this green agenda increasing the cost of fertilizer? And is that one of the reasons why we're making it so difficult to buy enough food in Joe Biden's America?
10-second response.
Yeah, I mentioned in my testimony, yeah, the price of energy determines the price of everything, and modern agriculture depends on natural gas-derived fertilizer and diesel fuel, so anything you do to restrict the supply of those makes food more expensive.
Thank you much.
Thank the gentleman, and now yield 5 minutes to